Hi everyone, I'm Tammy. I'm currently an art director at a design agency here in Toronto.
Hi guys, I'm Kat. I am currently a full stack developer at a company called Vivid Solutions based out of Victoria. Prior to that, I spent a little over 5 years at a company in Vancouver called Gravity Technologies that I started working at right after I graduated from VanArts.
Hey everyone, my name is Charlie and I currently work at PwC as a UX designer.
Hi everyone, I'm Shweta Prasad. I work in India. As soon as I graduated, I started off as a UX UI designer here, and currently I'm working as a lead UX UI designer at a firm around, and I'm working remotely as well.
All right, excellent. So two UX designers, one full stack designer, and one art director. Are any of you right now supervising people? Like, are you the leader of a team? I think Shweta, you mentioned
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I work as two roles. So I also work as a project manager and I also work as a team lead for UX UI. So I have two teams overall, one that keeps circulating depending upon what project comes to me, and one is where I actually lead a UX UI team and I work also along with them. So it's kind of a mixture.
Yeah, for
Okay.
me, it's a little bit mixed as well. As an art director, I do have junior designers that I work with, but we are all part of a studio and we have a creative director and other art directors as well. So it's very collaborative.
Okay. Anybody else? Charlie, you're with the team as well too, or is there a leader there, or is it just all
Yeah.
you're all contributing equally?
I guess because PwC is corporate and I've never worked for anything corporate, it has like a different structure. So there's like short projects that go, and so some are like 9 weeks, and then you go to a new client, and some are like 9 months, and so you switch teams every time you rotate through clients, I guess. And so right now the project that I'm on, I have someone is like a senior to me on the project, and the project that I was on before, I was leading a team of more junior folks. So they like really try to switch it up to keep you on your toes, but also like learn different perspectives.
Okay. Okay. And Kat, what is it like from your job as full stack developer?
I work as part of a development team, so I work amongst other developers, and then I've got a project manager and a scrum master leading the charge. And in my past job that I was at for quite a while, same thing, I was a full stack developer, and yeah, I was never in like a project management role, but of course mentored co-ops and more junior designers as they came onto the team.
Okay. So I guess it would be fair to say there's full stack, it's like a mixture of design and development as well, right? So maybe 50-50?
My job actually is primarily development. So both companies that I've been with, it's custom software development. So it's very like utilitarian booking systems, managing data, running reports, things like that. So of course there is a UI element, and I am sort of the primary person for that. But I mean, it's a lot of forms and data tables and not a lot of stuff that's like pretty. So yeah, it's a lot of like back end, behind the scenes, data driven.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that is because with VanArts, I mean, one of the things we talk about our program, it's about 40% coding, learning how to develop, 40% design, and 20% the other stuff that I teach. So, I mean, digital marketing and project management and things like that. Would you say that like, I'm just trying to see like how the fallout is after the students leave. It seems like three of you are in a design focused area of employment right now, and one would be kind of a mixture of both worlds, or would you say more towards development then?
It's a bit of a mix, but it's definitely more towards development.
I think for me, when I applied to work at Porter Airlines, I applied to be a UX designer, and I went through like, a few months of interviews and like case studies and stuff like that. And then at the end, it was given to someone else. And so then they made a job for me that didn't previously exist. That was like a junior dev role, which I was really grateful for. And it was mostly stuff that I'd learned in school in terms of language. But the hitch of it was that like the main language I was supposed to learn was C#, which we didn't learn in school. And so I feel like I was really thankful that I had design and development, because I wouldn't have gotten the job if I didn't have both, if I didn't like show up for the design interviews. And it was like, it became apparent as I was like going through the 6-month contract that I wasn't like picking up C# as like fast as I was supposed to be, because development isn't exactly like where I thrive. And I think I knew that in school, even though I was like trying really hard, because that's what I wanted to be when I left, was a developer. I thought it was like really cool. And we didn't spend that much time doing UX design, but it turned out that my background is in art, so it like translated really well. And I think that having it be diverse really lent me towards other jobs, because when I was at Porter, I also was doing product design for a startup here. And I wouldn't have gotten that job if I didn't have the design from school, and really like the certificate from school is what allowed me to get that job. And then when I applied to PwC, I work really closely with all the like functional leads and business analysts and the dev team. And so the fact that I like speak dev was very helpful. And I realized that it was more uncommon than I thought. So the fact that it was diverse really helped me.
So that kind of happened because when I graduated, that time when I was giving interviews, and I had a resume full of variation of things that I actually wanted to try out. Because while graduating, I knew that I was very inclined towards designing more than development, but I was not too bad at it. I mean, the basic stuff, it was something that I thought I could manage according to my potential, but designing was something way more I was inclined to. So when I started off with my final year project, like you guided me through, so that is when I realized that was my strength, and I started applying to jobs similar to that. But when I started off my first job in India, there was a diversity. I was doing social media, I was doing marketing, I was doing UX UI, I was into different projects. I actually came to know the actual practical use of Scrum and Scrum meetings and how that works out. And it was fun. But then when I changed jobs to my current company, they actually thought that since I've learned so much about project management as well, they wanted to try me out in that. And to my surprise, I remembered everything that I learned, and it turned out pretty good even for a first time experience. So then I continued to get more projects and I started doing well. And even at the UX end, my strength is more of UX than UI. So even at the UX end, I could manage a team of a few UI trainees around me. So it was kind of a graph that kept going up. So now they've put me into the lead for UX UI and then project management. So I have technically used everything that I've learned in bits and parts, but I have definitely used everything that I've learned in VanArts over here in my career.
Yeah, my story is a little different in the way that I came into VanArts, because I'm actually from a marketing background. I got my bachelor in publicity and advertisement back in Brazil. And I remember having conversations about this with you, Patrick. You might not remember, but I remember telling you that I first came into the program just because I wanted to be a better marketing professional. I wanted to learn more about design and development in order to become a better marketing professional. And I just ended up falling in love with design. Although I cannot say the same about development, I appreciate development a lot, and I'm fascinated. And when I was learning about it, I was fascinated about all the things I was able to do. And like the first time I did my web page, I was like, whoa, I'm so smart. I'm so cool. And I've always been very fascinated about what developers can do, but I struggle a lot with it. So as soon as I left, actually it was one of my instructors back at the time, one of our InDesign instructors that recommended me to a design position, and initially was a hybrid position at a design agency, but they had tons of very experienced developers, so I never actually got to do much of the development. And I ended up growing from a junior designer to a senior designer, like within the 3 years that I was with them, just because I was exposed with so much design. And I worked on a big variety of things between print and web, but obviously I had only gone to school for web, so that's pretty much where my expertise was leaving. But I learned a lot, and the more I learned, the more I fall in love with design, and I ended up going into that path a lot. But I find that having all the development background helps me still to this day, even though it changes so much by the minute. But it just helps me so much to talk to my development team, and it just puts us on the same page. I'm very aware of the things that they can do. I'm very aware of how to communicate with them, like developers wise, like the language that I have to use with them, and the things that we're able to do within a screen. And I can see the difference from other art directors that are very, let's say, print focused, that they struggle a lot with that communication. So I do appreciate that background a lot, and having that exposure so early on. Even though I didn't become a developer, I still find it very helpful to have that background.
The program gave me a really good foundation. But I mean, when you're covering so many topics in a year, you just can't deep dive into everything. So I found like for the first like 2 years in the industry, every day I was like learning something new, asking questions, like just consuming information, like for such a long time. Like I still learn all the time. The best thing that sort of comes out of the course is like you learn how to think like a developer. You learn what questions to ask. You know, like if I know how to do this in PHP, then it's going to be a similar concept in like Java, and I just need to know the syntax or whatever. So yeah, I mean, the course was a great foundation, and the sort of variety was good preparation, but that just continues on when you kind of get into the real world. It's funny, I kind of have a mix of Charlie and Tammy's backgrounds. My background is in art and branding and design as well. And when I came into the program, my idea was like, I wanted the well-rounded approach. Like I wanted to do development and design. I wanted to work for myself and freelance and sort of make my own schedule. And very quickly, when I started doing that after school, I realized I don't want to manage clients. I don't want to deal with emails. Everybody thinks their fire is the hottest. I don't want that stress. So I like to just be a developer. I get my tasks given to me. I bang them off. I got my headphones on, and yeah, that's my jam.
Let me switch it around. Let me ask you this question. If you could time travel back and tell yourself, speak to where you are now and speak to yourself on the first day of school at VanArts, and you had to give one piece of advice, because you're going to vanish, okay? I don't know why. That's just the way the time machine works, okay? What is that one piece of advice you tell yourself on the first day of school?
I'd rather say trust the process, because for me as an international school student, I was very scared if I could pick up, because Indian way of education was more of theory, and what VanArt offered was more of practical. And since you are in where you were and you are trained to be a person who understands theory more than practical, or there is a little more experience, and it was really overwhelming to know that, you know, would I ever be able to match up to that level of practicality and use of everything that I learned. And that's the advice I would like to give myself, that trust the process, because right now everything that I learned in a practical environment actually went way ahead than what I learned in theory. So yeah, that's something.
Yeah, I would go somewhere down that route as well, in terms of just saying like it's gonna be okay. And that's so cliche, I know, but I'm not even sure if you guys knew this, but I actually had a panic attack in one of my week 4, week 8 things, which is we just do like some sort of marathon to deliver a website within 24 hours, right? And I just put so much pressure in myself, and all my colleagues did, right? Kat was one of my colleagues, and I just remember thinking like, I'm never going to be able to do this. How am I going? And I just felt that I wasn't prepared enough for the industry, because if I can't deliver a website in 24 hours, what am I going to do? But I just think that if I think backwards now, like everything is going to be okay. You're not going to always learn every single thing. Like you always have to keep yourself up to date into what is happening in the industry. And it's impossible for you to just consume everything in a fast pace and in a way that just consumes yourself as well. So just like what I was saying, just trust the process and you're going to be okay. Like you're going to be a good professional regardless, as long as you do all the steps and enjoy the process as you go as well, because it's not worth it to be that stressed.
Yeah, it's part of the experience going through it, and you have that, but you can't see it at the time. You're in the middle of the jungle and you don't know how it's going to help you out. And you're not the only student to say, yeah, they've been freaked out by a week 4, week 8. Actually, anybody that says week now, I think web students go like, holy that,
And I
they still do
appreciate that so much these days. That's not to say that it didn't work, but it was just, I wasn't mature enough to understand the process back then. And now I see that like, oh, I have to deal with so much worse with my clients, and I have to deliver so much worse in 24 hours. That is just like, that was just real life preparation for me.
That was baby Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, I know, like I tell students now, like, you know what, I need to say it. It's not that important. You'll be okay. You'll look back on this and it's like this assignment, whatever. It's not, and they're like, people are like, it's the most important thing in the world. But yeah, that is a good thing. It teaches about crunch mode, and how crunch mode is important and also not important at the same time. Like, get the task done, but try to time management.
And you can only do what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. You can only do what you can do, and everybody has problems. Everybody has errors that happen. Exactly. It's all about you being a professional by trying to solve it and get better. And another thing that was said earlier too, I forgot who it was, about the first, I think it was Kat actually, the first couple of years after you get out of school, you're still learning, you're at school. It's just you're getting a paycheck for it. That's maybe the only difference from it, right? Okay.
Yeah, you're always going to be learning in this industry. Like I was saying, one of the most important things you learn at school is like how to think like a developer if you want to be a developer. Because the industry is always changing. Like Tammy said, you're never going to know it all because it's always changing.
What would you say now to people that are considering whether they should study web development design or get into this industry? What piece of information would you give to them before they commit to doing it at a school like VanArts?
I'd rather tell everyone to be very open-minded, because too many things to learn can be too much on your head, giving you anxiety or anything of that sort, being overwhelming. But you need to understand and be open to learning everything, because something or the other comes your way that you need information about. It's like your own Wikipedia. Even if you don't go to be a developer, if you're inclined towards designing or vice versa, you need the information. You need to know what goes around, why is it present over there, and what makes the design functional, or what makes the development give a face. So you need to know everything, and you need to be very open-minded to learning each and everything without a judgment. And that would be my advice to them.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I would just say, just do it. Have fun. Get to know your colleagues. I think a lot of what was important for me too was to develop my, leadership skills just by talking to my colleagues. I really appreciated like the team of colleagues that I had. I've always been very open with them, and I had that opportunity to really get to know them. And, that's a networking opportunity right there, right? So just have fun. Like we were saying, trust the process and don't get so wrapped up around your head, because I'm sure if you're there, you're doing everything that you can to be a great professional. So you might as well just have fun as well.
I think I'd say that, we've alluded to, the intensity of the program, and it is very intense. And I think, we can say that, and then you can go into it and still not be prepared. So I think like preparing for the worst, but in the most positive way, like the fact that it is so intense means that you're getting a lot out of it. And, it's intense for you, it's intense for the folks that are in your class. It's also intense for the teachers. You're all in this bubble together, and you're all trying to work through it together.
Yeah, that's true. I'm glad you mentioned that, just from the instructor perspective too, because it is, we do kind of, I think of you guys as weird family units. like that's the way it kind of is. And I think other instructors would say something similar to that too. Yeah, I mean, it's intense, but you get a lot of information out of it. So, okay, Kat, anything you want to add?
Not too much to add to that. Just like, I just kind of treated it like a full-time job. That's basically what it is. Which, looking at it that way prepares you for what's next after you get out of it. And my little piece of advice would be to participate in class, speak up, like get involved in the conversation, because it makes it better for everybody.
Okay, really quickly, if you are interested in learning more, Ken's going to type an email in here. It's admissions@vanarts.com. If you're interested, email them. We will help guide you through the process. It's different for everybody, getting your things in order. You might have a question about what life is like, or housing here, or prices for the program, or job outcomes. We try to talk about that as much as we can here. Final thoughts from our panelists.
I looked at a lot of schools in Vancouver, and VanArts was the only one that had this like array of things that you could do, and that really benefited me, because even though my background was in art, I really wanted to be a developer, and in the end I was able to be a designer. So for me, going to VanArts was a really good choice. I don't know, it changed my life. It like made my income increase 5 times in a year and a half. It definitely like changed my life and my family's life. So I'd recommend it if you're interested in the most intense year of your life.
Overall experience at VanArts for me as an international student, the school was always so supportive, and I found a little community there for me. Like I remember, I still like one of my good mentors, my design mentors and good friends of mine, I met in the game art. I think that's called the other program, right?
Yeah.
So you get to interact with other programs as well, because everyone there, they might be introspect, but they are also creative. So there's always opportunities to conversations, and whether you're starting the industry or if you are, just looking for something different, I think going to school is always worth it. So, and VanArts was really awesome at, being supportive, being great, being innovative. It was a great opportunity for me as well. And it launched my internship that turned out to be like a 3-year long job. So yeah, it was really great. And I do appreciate, I know you guys talked about the instructors a little bit, but it was so good to have that mentorship as well. Not only instructors in a way that like you're just teaching something in a very technical way, like not only technical skills, but soft skills as well. So yeah, you guys were great, and the school is great too.
Yeah, I agree with Tammy. Somewhere I am in that position where I learned how to be fun from our instructors, and I learned to be professional at the same time, because there were so many work ethics that were taught, that were asked to apply when we came for classes as well. Like how to dress for work, how to prepare your resume, how presentable your portfolio needs to be. These are some things that people usually Google their head off to know what is actually the right way because there are 10 different samples. But then they teach you the basics of how you're supposed to approach this. And I think that really helped. And that is a knowledge that I can pass on as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I echo everything everyone else has already said, but if it's something you're interested in, I really feel like you can't go wrong. I mean, like, we've all been able to find successful careers through going through the program, and especially I find if you have the right personality type, like Charlie was saying, to like really dig in and apply yourself, or if maybe you've, like some of us, had an undergrad degree, but you're looking for a career change and you just want something like quick and dirty, you want to just do an intensive thing for a year, that at the end of it, you can come out of it with a career. It's a solid choice, like as long as you apply yourself and yeah, pay attention to your assignments, you'll be successful.